Welcome, everybody. I am Joe Richards, one of your coordinators. We have two of our other coordinators on the call today. Vicky is on the call and Janice is on the call. This call is being recorded and I will post it to YouTube at some point in the next couple of days is the goal. Tonight we have a presentation from Megan. I'm not sure if Vicky has a better introduction than I do, because that's about as far as I go with any intros. Do you have a better, oh, she has a better backdrop now. I think Megan moved and that was her whole, yeah.
I don't have a formal intro, but Megan, Joe had somebody lined up to talk to us tonight about social media and camps, and that fell through a couple days ago. And Megan's a dear friend of mine who works in the social media realm, not in camping, though she would fit in great, I guess is what I should say. And so she graciously was like, sure, I can come help. And so that's what I'll say about Megan. If she wants to introduce anything else about herself, she can say those things.
And Megan, yeah, I believe I've given you full co-host ability, so you should be able to do things like share your screen.
Wonderful. Great. Am I good to start, or do you want to talk about other?
No, you are good to start.
Okay. Hi. I will share my screen. Certainly don't feel any. I'm going to share my screen, so you don't need to look at your own face for the whole time, because that is hard on brains. So I'm going to share my screen, and I will say if you have any questions as we go, feel free to put them in the chat, or just like tuck it in whatever part of your brain works best for you, and we can address it towards the end of the presentation. Share my screen. Oh, that's just like a lot of. I have too many things open on my computer. That's convenient. Hold on one second.
Can I just, while Megan's sorting that out, I learned this weekend that, did you know through Zoom you can just share part of your screen with the other people instead of sharing your whole screen? Did everybody know that but me? Okay, well, it was enlightening. Everybody's nodding like, yes, of course we know. But it blew my mind. It really changed my Saturday. So that's all.
Let me know if there's a setting you think I need to adjust.
No, never mind. I will close all of my other windows. I have a very bad habit of just having.
Are you a multi-tab person?
I am like not only multi-tab, I have, because for my job right now, I manage 3 different email addresses. And so I have tabs associated with each email address. So I have a window for each email address and then subsequent tabs for each of those. I also recently was diagnosed with ADHD. So it all like, so many parts of my life are like, oh yeah, that makes sense. That all comes together. Okay, here we go. And we will. Oh, I'm downloading a dictionary all of a sudden. All right.
View slideshow.
Thank you. Oh my gosh. It has been a long day. Oh goodness. Okay. Welcome to the slideshow about social media. Social media is so much of what I'm going to talk about today. I could talk for an hour about each of these things. So I will gloss over as much stuff as kind of makes sense. And if you have any questions about any specifics, please let me know. This is what we're going to talk about. I'm going to introduce myself. And then the things that we're going to talk about tonight, I'm approaching it from a general marketing point of view, as well as social media best practices. And that is, across multiple industries, nonprofit and for-profit endeavors as well. Okay, hi, I'm Megan. I'm a social media and community manager, and currently I am the director of marketing and communications at District Brewing in Regina, Saskatchewan. I am generally a very nice person. I have been actively working in some forms of social media and community management for about 15 years in some form or another. And yeah, through marketing agencies and being a millennial with ADHD, I've worked in nonprofit, for-profit, government, decapitalist, all kinds of things. So very well-rounded in my experience. All right, so into the thick of it. Consider for your organization what your goals and objectives are. So what are the points on the horizon you're working towards? Is it that you want to have the most beneficial camp experience for kids of a certain demographic? Do you want to make the world a better place through your camp? What is the big goal that you are over and above arching working towards? And to that, what are your objectives? What are the things that are going to get you to that goal? And think about what you want your social media to do in order to get you to that goal. Is it to attract campers? Is it to get donations? What does that look like for you? When you get into objectives, you can attach numbers and dates to it. Goals are more long-term, 3 to 5 years. Objectives are things you can do in the next 2 weeks to 12 months. And everything you post on social media should work towards those goals and objectives. This is a larger strategy thing that if I was working with any marketing client or organization, this would be where we start, is strategy-focused work. If you have a strategy, it generally makes things easier down the road. It makes more sense. Next, we can talk about your audience. Who is it that you are talking to? You can say generally like, oh, well, we want everyone to listen to us. Not everyone, you don't want to listen to everyone, so why would everyone want to listen to you? So you have to find the people that you want to connect with. These are called audience profiles. If you are looking online later for like, Megan talked something about something, if you search audience profiles, you can get more information about this. It is very helpful to make it very specific. If you are doing a donation campaign, you may consider someone like Corinne, who's 42 and works full-time and has kids who attend camp. She never went to camp, but wants to support the community. She supports local. She also shops at Costco, and she loves the color green. So when you have information like that, you can direct your messaging appropriately. And psychologically, people are able to see themselves in more specific examples. Like, I'm more likely to see myself to be like Corinne, rather than if you were to just say, hey, give us money to do that thing. So having a specific audience profiles is helpful. And you can have a different audience profile for different campaign purposes or different, different things that you're working on, because you're going to talk to different people for like donations or campers or capital projects. The messaging will be different, and although there may be some overlap of those audiences, by directing the messaging, you'll have better success. Okay, platforms. So this is like debating whether you should be on Instagram or Facebook or Twitter or TikTok or Be Real or Friendster or, I don't know, MySpace, whatever else is out there. You are best to be where your audience is and where you're comfortable. So Corinne is probably on Instagram, maybe on Facebook, but is less likely to be on Twitter, and also less likely to be on TikTok. So Instagram is probably a safe bet with automatic posting to Facebook. And something to keep in mind as you're looking at other businesses or other groups on social media, and they're doing a lot. They have well-produced videos. They are posting multiple times a day. They have teams of people dedicated to it. So when you are a one-person social media marketing, HR, camp, do-it-all person, I think it's important to also make sure that you're taking care of yourself and not doing too much, and making sure that you're comfortable in the place that you're posting. And ultimately, it is better to do well in one place than not doing great in 4 places or all the places. That is over. How do you know what platforms people should be on based on their age? Something else. You can get demographic information about each of the platforms. Generally, I can tell you younger folks are on TikTok. Probably 25 and less are on TikTok. 25 to 45, 50-ish are on Instagram. 30 to 70 are on Facebook. But there are more specific demographic breakdowns of each of those. Online, you can find Sprout Social has lots of really good information on that about demographics. I feel like the thing that might be most helpful is if I just tell you 20 different places to Google afterwards. But that's how my brain works. Okay. Behind the scenes, those are all of that. Yeah, and you can also take a look at where people follow you now. Like if you already have social media set up, you can see like where your followers are, where you're getting the most engagement, and then capitalize on that. You can also, by virtue of surveys or just asking questions of people in your community, just ask like, are you on Facebook? Are you on Instagram? What's the best place for us to be? I've been with a few organizations that have done that, and through a process of community engagement, determined like, oh, we're wasting our time on Facebook. No one cares about Facebook. People want to see us on Instagram and connect with us there. So you are able to, oh my gosh, my dog just knocked a book off the couch. It was very loud. I'm sorry. You can just dedicate your time to the best place possible. Wrong button. Content. So this is just sort of general suggestions. Is have specific people take pictures and video and give them instructions. So things like don't have any faces in it, but let there be people in it. Have something by the pool, make sure they're active, or make sure they're reading, or just giving not guidelines, but like pointed things that like, oh, we're going to post about our literacy programs. So make sure we have pictures to show that. If you are, just have some plans around it. And I find too, I'm often a one-person social media team. Is if I set out the goals and like things I want pictures of, it makes it easier. For example, at the brewery I'm at right now, we are on a quest to have like really oddly satisfying videos. So I'm just perpetually looking for things that are satisfying, and it gives my brain a break. So I'm not looking for like social media stuff all the time. Like everything is content, everything is meant to be consumed. It's not, and letting yourself, giving some specifics around it gives yourself a bit of a break as well. I do suggest that you have one person post or one person be in control or have admin rights. That's not true. Have 3 people have admin rights on whatever platform you're on. And then just having one person in control of posting. And then just knowing that 1 or 2 other people are also keeping an eye on what's happening is good. That way, because we're not all attached to our phones and computers all the time. And there's the reality of someone's going to catch something that someone else isn't, using the wrong there or it's, or someone has come to your page to rant about something. Sometimes you don't see it right away, but someone else will. And something for content is writing captions ahead of time, preparing posts. I say ahead of time, but just in advance. Like we all know when your busy season is. So not to bog yourself down with creating a schedule and trying to commit to it in the midst of 6 different camps. Letting yourself plan ahead is, again, just alleviate some stress later on. And if you can't do that, I do typically write captions ahead of time. I will just sit down and just fill a Word document with things like having a great time. I hope we brought extra socks, et cetera, et cetera. And if you have a team as wonderful and witty as I'm sure they all are, you can have a bit of a brainstorming session and just think about, what do you want us to say as a camp? What do you want us to say as an organization? And if you work towards those goals and objectives, you can also frame it around that as well. So if you are, trying to get campers, having all of the pertinent information you need for registration, be it the link is in the bio, deadline is this, in just every post, because you really want to meet people where they're at. And if they're in an Instagram caption, then have your information there. You just want to make it as easy as possible for folks to support you. Okay. Social media policy. I would encourage you to have one. It doesn't have to be elaborate. There's a social media policy on like the organization side of, a community management policy you can also find online, that, you don't tolerate hate speech. Folks who don't commit to that will be blocked or deleted. And you can have that like just posted on your webpage for reference. There's lots of really great, well-written ones in there. A social media policy can also include like what campers and staff post on their personal accounts. That can be built into a code of conduct. A lot of businesses also have that. That, just say like, you can post about this, but don't, put people's faces or like respect the privacy of other campers and staff, etc. But that is also dependent on the needs of your camp as well. Also built into social media policy, I encourage having a process for trolls or complaints, or just, the management part of community management. Generally, I will say engage twice and then let it go. You can, if someone has a complaint, most people will contact you directly. But if they're posting on a public forum, like a form of social media, there's usually something else there. So in asking about what happened, usually there's some manner of private information. So, encouraging them to send a message. And both Facebook and Instagram have a spot that you can reply to people in a message rather than in the public forum. So you can try to take it off of there and hopefully they'll be happy. And some folks just want to be loud on the internet. So you can hide or delete and block as necessary. I'm in full belief that you can create and curate your own space online, and, blocking people or hiding their comments is, well within your rights to do that. Okay.
Megan, did you want to take questions at the end, or are you willing to take them throughout?
I can take questions now, whenever.
So Vicky asks, how do you know what platforms people would be on? Is this, you mentioned Sprout Social, and I wasn't sure if that would be the best place to find that out.
So if you were to search like Facebook demographics or Instagram demographics, you can find more information about who is where. I just say Sprout Social because they have a lot of very good information about demographics and posting, and they also have good social media policy examples as well.
Okay.
Yeah. All of these places are marketing tools, and so they know their demographics very well because they use that to sell ads. So they have a lot of that information. Sharon
asked a question, and what are we allowed to tell our staff for what they can and cannot post? Like, where is that? Is there a law? And I'm not saying that you're a law expert. I know these things. But is there something in the Employment Standards Act that would imply what we can and cannot tell them to post or not post?
I'm not sure about the Employment Standards Act specifically. But you can have, what happens at camp stays at camp. With the, oh, thanks, Alex, for that. Yeah, with the mind toward the privacy of staff and campers. Or maybe it's a free-for-all. Like, you build policies around what your staff can and cannot do anyway. Like, if they're allowed to have their phones with them and allowed to take pictures and things, like, yeah.
Oh, Sharon went on
to their personal time. Oh, that is a little bit harder to do. You can have like code of conduct policies around that. But yeah, that one is a tough question.
We don't want you to wade into any legal things that could come back at you.
Yeah, well, and it's their personal accounts. And so you also have the option to not hire them based on that.
But you were saying earlier in the social media policy, this could also be covered in your own social media policy to say that our expectation is that if it's a publicly set account, that you still meet our expectations while you're employed by us.
Yeah. Something to keep in mind too is that are you going to have the time to monitor staff accounts? So that is something to consider. Yeah, if they are, above age or above legal drinking age, there's not a ton you can do. Like, I know at my work right now, we do have a code of conduct that basically boils down to, like, don't be a jerk. Yeah. Yeah. There's a good discussion happening in the chat as well.
That's great. You can, I think you can move on, and I'll keep a look on the chat if you want to close yours.
Great, sure. I'm really almost done the formal presentation, and then we can discuss it as a group as well. I think there's some good things happening there. Yeah. So if you do want to take your social media posting or just social media in general more seriously, I really highly recommend taking a benchmark of where you're at right now. Things like followers, your level of engagement. So that's things like number of comments, shares, retweets, reposts, and just tuck it away in a spreadsheet somewhere. And then in 6 months, just check again and see where you're at. And if you have, just you're being a little more conscious of what you're posting and how and when, you will find success. It doesn't necessarily take a lot of effort, but it does take time. So that is something, it is tough to do when you are a one-person show. Questions? Yeah, I'll stop sharing.
That's awesome. Do you want me to take you off Spotlight as well?
I already did.
I have a question. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I could put it in the chat, but I was just going to say, I'm curious how many camps currently pay for ads on social media, and like how much you pay and how much value you get from it, whether it's like specifically around camper attraction, but even maybe around like staff recruitment or whatever. I'm just curious, like if there's some standards out there among camps. our size.
We just started this year, so not the best person to speak from experience. And we haven't been spending a lot. Like I think we've like boosted like maybe 4 or 5 with like $10 or $20 each time. But it has brought in campers, and then we also did one promoting like our spring school programs because we're sort of new to that, and it's also brought in context for that. So I don't know. Again, that's like just this year, not a lot of experience, but so far it does seem to work.
In the past, I mean, Kylie does this now and more than I did, but in the past, I generally only ever boosted ads to our followers because I hate Facebook. I find the platform confusing and whatever. And so I would just like boost, like sponsor, or I don't even know, boost a post around like, hey, we're having this fundraiser to the people who already like our page. Does that make sense? So I was curious if it actually would matter just sending it out to the world, you know, to like people who don't already know us. But yeah.
But to the world is this idea of segmenting to your population, right? So you're not sending it to the world; you're sending it to all women who are within a 50-kilometer radius, who are between the ages of 30 and 45, and have kids between the ages of 7 and 15, and show an interest in community groups. So it's not like that is the benefit of demographics and social media, is that you can specifically target. And we don't. Up to this point, we've rarely used any ads on social media. But
Thanks.
Yeah, here at Lambton Center, I've never used any paid ads anyways.
Megan,
I'm starting to think about it for promoting or trying to recruit summer staff. Maybe that might be something worthwhile.
Megan, one of my questions directly to you would be like, how do I track return on investment for social media, right? Meaning that more likes doesn't equate right, unless more likes and more views does not equate to more income, right? More kids coming in. So how do we track that ROI?
Yeah. So there's a couple different ways you can do it. Getting away from like the vanity metrics, especially views on Facebook, is super sketchy. But you can use the Facebook Pixel or Google Pixel to track conversion rates. You can do that. You can also have it go to specific any ads go to specific landing pages, and then you can track going through the sales funnel there. And you can also base it on timing as well. Like if you run an ad for a specific period of time, or if you have a post up for a specific period of time, you can track, registrations through that period of time. And also I do recommend doing it like in concert with other advertising as well. So if you're doing oh my gosh. If you were doing like pamphleting or talks in a certain area, then I would do Facebook or Instagram ads within that certain geographic area as well at the same time, just to get more bang for your buck. That's just an aside. But typically it's through timing. And if you do want the hard numbers, having tracking within your website as well. Or you can also do like a coupon code as well, and just assign different coupon codes to different avenues of promotion. I've done that as well.
The classic call this number and Vicky, the operator, is waiting. Just ask for Vicky, and
yeah, pretty much
calls themselves Vicky.
Yeah. And when I worked at Globe Theatre here in Regina, we were trying to figure out whether or not any of our newspaper ads were working, because there was a big push for us to use newspaper ads. And so we had a very good deal built into the ad, and no one did it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, oh, well, I guess never mind. Anyway.
Any other questions for Megan?
There's a question in the chat just about using LinkedIn specifically for staffing purposes. I don't know anything about LinkedIn. But.
It is doable depending on the age of the person you're going for. Folks on LinkedIn are typically maybe further along in their professional career than a lot of folks, although it is getting to be a little bit younger. If you're looking for folks in university, you may be more likely to get jobs there, or rather, sharing for jobs there. LinkedIn is like kind of a beast that it feels a little tech bro-y a lot of the time. And I don't know if that's the best place to connect with staff. Even like I'm hiring for the brewery for professional people, and it's still like, it doesn't feel like the right place for it. So yeah, it's doable if you want that.
What are the, how important, just to bring it back to something you said, how important is the schedule and timing versus just getting it out there, right? It's better to get something out there than nothing out there because you're waiting for the perfect time. Is that where we're at? Yeah,
I do. Getting something out is better than nothing at all. And it's tough too, because, you think you have the Instagram and Facebook algorithms figured out, and then they change it. So, I do think that, you can see on if you have a Facebook business page set up for your camp, you can see specifically when during the day your audience is online. And generally, most people, it's Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. That's most of it. So you can get most of that through, just pretty regular posting. You can schedule things a little bit later or a little bit earlier in the day to catch people. I know some people some businesses who very consciously post at like 6 a.m. every morning to like make sure there's something for that day. But then if it's not engaging, Facebook will just like recycle it 6 times, or Instagram will recycle it until people engage with it. So that it's tough because they keep changing it. So a couple of years ago, I would have said, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday from noon to 2 p.m. was the glory time. But that's not the case anymore. Sorry, my dog is going nuts. I will be right back.
I was also thinking, now Megan's also gone, but if folks have had like successful engagements in social media, like done something cool on Instagram or whatever, and wanted to like peer share, I feel like that might be a good idea. I don't know. We like camps have sort of a more specific shared context than sort of social media in general. No, that's cool too.
In the room, yes. I don't think any of us have gone viral. Let's go with that. But I also don't know what the end benefit of going viral is, except more people know about something. Speaking of which, do you have any thoughts on TikTok, Megan?
I do. It's fun. I love it to like watch it. But I am not a video producer, really. So it's just it's a whole other skill set. And I've found the organizations that are being the most successful with it are the ones who sort of like just give that to a certain subset of staff that are, younger and want to do it. Yeah, it seems like there are a lot of honestly very large brands who just hand their TikTok or specific social media platform to like 3 interns, and great, cool, whatever happens, happens. Just don't swear. Like,
so put that in the social media policy. Just like give that away. Just don't swear. So.
Yeah, 100%. Like Duolingo is one of the biggest brands on TikTok, and it started with like just one of their interns, and then they got like the Duolingo like character suit thing, and now it's huge, and now they have a huge like I think 5 or 6 person team dedicated to it. The Washington Post.
So here's the challenge that I face with social media is that I have never seen a Duolingo thing on TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is social media, is that it's totally broken up into segmented, because I don't want a middle-aged cis white guy, or that's not what TikTok is serving my For You page, because I've trained it to serve very specifically woodworking videos and apparently social justice videos, right? Like things of that nature. So what's the best social media to really target your local? Because many of us only take kids from a certain geographical area. So, what do you think is the best to hit the local parents? So unless we want to talk about staff, you're like, how do we hit the local staff? But I don't
know. If you're talking like specific geographical locations, you can tap into like Instagram hashtags that are specific to the location you're in, and just like tagging everything aggressively. You can get involved in Facebook groups that are specific to your location, parenting groups in those locations. You could potentially, it'd be a little harder, but get onto something like Nextdoor and promote on Nextdoor. I believe there's ads on there. There has to be. Yeah, and there's also, you could do in that sense, this is getting outside of social media, but just doing programmatic ads for websites that are frequented in your city, in your community. So
excellent. Other questions for Megan?
Great, we've solved it.
Yes, we have solved it. Megan, are you comfortable if we give your email address out?
Yeah, for sure.
Or do you want to drop it in the chat, and then people, if they want it, can do that? We will move on. If you have further questions, you can feel free to just drop Megan a quick email. Right now, I'm going to ask Amy Crawford to speak briefly about bursaries for our fall gathering this year. And I'll talk more about the fall gathering. I'm just letting Amy go first so I don't misspeak about anything monetarily.
Yeah, so the Vision Fund, which is a fund for grants of different types for youth and young adult ministry within the United Church of Canada. One category of grants are bursaries. And so the Vision Fund Committee met last week, maybe, or a couple weeks ago. And I put forward the idea of sort of pre-approving the bursary grants for the Camping Connection event. I'm not sure what it's exactly called, but so they have pre-approved those bursary grants. So anyone who applies will basically receive the grant. Now, Joe, you and I may have to talk about monetary limits. I mean, it's not an unlimited amount of money, but for the past couple of years, as you can imagine, the Vision Fund has been underused because people haven't been doing as much ministry with youth and young adults that needed funding, and people weren't going to events. So we may have to talk about some sort of limit, but if you apply for the Vision Fund bursary, you will get the bursary. It's basically
and when
the
you
decision.
talk about when you're talking about limits, are you talking limit on the number of people versus the 500 is the amount that an individual can give? We're not extending that limit upwards, correct?
No.
But you're talking if 75 people applied, that might be an issue.
Yeah, we might have to do some math around it.
But if so perfect. Was there anything else? Because that is awesome news. Thank you so much.
The one other thing that I will say is we have a couple of former camp staff on the Vision Fund committee, and they're very keen that at some point there will be another camping event that happens with United Church of Canada camps solely. They're a little worried that the international or North American events might not be accessible for all camp staff. So their hope, I think, is that in 3 years, maybe we can consider doing another in-person event at a United Church camp in Canada. That was just kind of some feedback from them. They have really valued those gatherings in the past and don't want to see them completely go away.
Excellent. Can I ask one more question about the Vision Fund? So in the documentation, there is a limit of $1,000 per ministry unit. Is that up for debate? If one camp wants to bring 3 people, we could get $1,500. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's up for negotiation.
Okay,
for sure.
Great. Perfect. Great. With that information, I can give you all some other information. So to appease Amy, you can take this back to your committee, but I think I'm not misspeaking, and I think Janice and I think many people in this room would say that we do want a Canadian event in the future. I don't think it's 3 years away. I think it's closer than that. And I think that is. I think that what we'll follow, as I've been in the States meeting with other outdoor ministries people over the past 6 years, it's more, I think what we will fall into is more of the the United Church of Christ's model, the Outdoor Ministry Association, which is that they do consults, right, where it's 30 to 40 people, which is about the size of our gatherings. And they do those for a couple of years, and then they'll partner with one of the other organizations to attend a larger one. But a consult is much more like a not even a conference isn't the right word for what we run here, right? Unless we have a ton of money to get speakers and whatnot in. A consult is us running our own gathering. So on that note, I'm pretty sure everyone here is in agreement with them. So you can pass that on. But for this year, we're going to Kansas City. Kansas City, here we come. A couple of things, and I will work with Amy on getting a pre-drafted, pre-filled out bursary form. I was working on that this afternoon.
Actually, Joe, I forgot to say, our bursary form is pretty basic. It provides the information that we need to award the bursary. So I would say just go with the Vision Fund bursary form. Don't try to create something new, but you might not have to go, it usually asks, why do you want to go to this?
Yeah, I was just going to
have
give
to put
them
as much detail.
some pre-filled blurbs for those harder questions about how you reach out and touch youth. And, well, that's a really inappropriate way to say it, but how you reach out and minister to youth is the way that I believe it is said. I saw you giggle, Toes. And then, so that's all. The other stuff, we're not making our own form. We're just pre-filling out the existing form. Here is the way Kansas City is going to work? We have thought long and hard about equity. Whether you're coming from Prince Edward Island, whether you're coming from Ottawa, whether you're coming from Regina or Calgary or British Columbia or Penticton. And so equity is that we are going to cover 90% of your travel costs, which means that when we did the math on it, if you're flying from Newfoundland, if you're flying from St. John's, the plane ticket to get to Kansas City was about 700 and I'm not talking to my daughter right now. The was around $770, which means that the individual's cost for that travel would be $77 for that plane ticket, right? We're covering 90% of it, which is due to the fact that, like the Vision Fund, Outdoor Ministries has received grants for a number of years that we have not been able to fully expend because there's been this thing. I'm not sure if you're aware of it. It's COVID-19, and so what we're hoping is that by covering 90% of your travel, which would be your plane ticket plus your kilometers to get to and from the airport, and with the $500 bursary from the Vision Fund, and then the cost for the conference will be, we're working with PCCCA, the Presbyterian Church Camp and Conference Association, to cover the difference. And I think it'll be about $150 Canadian once you have paid the $500 from the Vision Fund to the PCCCA. So this will all, you do not need to take notes, but feel free to, because you can start looking at flights and whatnot. What this will look like is that you will pay for your travel, and then you will send proof of that. And I do ask that you don't upgrade just to get the 90% thing, but you will pay for your travel and then send proof of travel and proof of kilometers through a Google form that we will have set up, and that will come into a spreadsheet that will come to this office here at Pierce Williams, which houses the Outdoor Ministries money. You will pay PCCCA directly around $400 US, which is around 500 Canadian dollars right now. So it's a bit of a moving target there, but I think it'll be somewhere around $400, which 400 US is, I think, all that you're on the hook for. And most of that, if not all of that, should be covered by the Vision Fund. If it's not, it might be an extra $15 to you. Suck it up, Buttercup. There's another $150 or $102 US, $150 Canadian that OMI is covering for your cost with PCCCA, and Joel and I are dealing with that, so it's one bill that comes. And this will all be in an email and in a letter, and the goal is that we will fund one person, OMI will fund one person per camp at that 90% travel. Vision Fund, as Amy said, if you have a camp that has people who want to come and you have 2 people, that's easy, you apply. Our goal would be to get somewhere between 25 and 35 Canadians in to Kansas City. It is a Sunday to a Thursday. So travel days are Sunday and Friday morning. I say that with eyes closed because I'm trying to think through all the conferences I've been to. Friday morning is not a conference day. Friday is a travel day. So that helps you get back to where you're going. And if you have more than one person and we find, and OMI finds we're undersubscribed, we can then talk camp by camp to see how much of the other travel we could cover for a second person. And we do understand that for the volunteers sitting around this call and sitting around the many camps in Canada, that it is a Sunday through a Friday. It's a week where somebody would have to take a week off work. But it is what it is. It's a conference. This is keynote speakers. This is worship. This is presentations and exhibit halls. This is not something that Outdoor Ministries Institute or the United Church is going to put on ourselves. And so The goal would be that we go here this year, and then we look at gathering, and we have a constant yearly event would be the end goal, small, and go from there. Any questions? It's because I was totally unclear about all of that. Not sure if Sharon has her hand up or just a shelf above her desk. Just a shelf above her desk. Awesome. No questions. So the deadline, well, those have been pre-approved. So the goal would be to get them in before the summer, before July 1st. I know the next deadline is July 15th, but if we can get them and keep going. You can still you can apply after July 15th. I don't think there's an issue with that. I think we just keep it rolling as we go. And then I'll set a timeline on the Google form. The registration for the conference is not open yet. It will not open until middle of August, which is but you can be guaranteed that it is going on and that you can fly into Kansas City. And we'll go from there. It's exciting. We'll see how it goes. Kansas City has great barbecue, so we will go for that. And there is built into this conference, there is a tour day or a tour afternoon where you can choose various events. And if those are an added cost, that's going to be on you. They always allow you to stay at the site as well. Okay. Perfect. Thank you so much, everybody. It is currently 8:29. I love wrapping up just prior to our time. So we will meet again in 1 month's time. And it will just be a check-in with final summer thoughts and whatnot. So no guest speaker, just us talking to each other to make sure that we can see how short-staffed we are in the middle of June. Okay. Bye, everybody. Have a good night.